artificial intelligence lead to job losses for everyday Americans trying to make ends meet? Our next guest, who is the CEO of one of the most powerful AI companies in the world, says we are heading for a catastrophic employment crisis that no one is talking about. Well, we are going to talk about it with Dario Amodei, who is the CEO of Anthropic. He joins me now. Dario, thank you so much for joining us. You have a critical message for us this morning. So how many job losses are we talking about here, and who is at risk?
So just to back up a bit, I've been working on AI for 10 years, and probably the thing I've noticed most about it is how fast it's making progress. 2 years ago, it was at the level of a smart high school student. Now it's probably at the level of a smart college student and reaching beyond that. And on one hand, I think there's a number of very positive things that are going to happen. I used to be a biologist. I think AI has exactly the kind of skills that are needed to cure important diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's, to provide cheaper energy, many positive things. But exactly those same kind of skills, things like summarizing a document, brainstorming, putting together a financial report, makes me worry a lot that entry-level jobs in areas like finance, consulting, tech, many other areas like that, entry-level white-collar work, I worry that those things are going to be first augmented, but before long replaced by AI systems, and that we may indeed. It's hard to predict the future, but we may indeed have a serious employment crisis on our hands as the pipeline for the early stage white collar work starts to contract and dry up.
What's the timeline here?
Yes, so it's very hard to predict these things given how fast AI is making progress. But I would not be surprised if somewhere between 1 and 5 years we started to see big effects here. You know, I've heard a number of people talk about this in private. AI CEOs talk about this in private. CEOs of other companies talk about this in private. And I really felt that the message that this is happening hasn't been getting out to ordinary people, hasn't been getting out to our legislators or Congress people either. And so I felt I needed to speak up on the record. I do think that this is something we can prevent this, but we need to act now. I don't think we can stop the AI bus. There are 6 or 7 companies just in the U.S. working in this area. I just run one of them. Even if our company stopped doing what it was doing today, all the other companies would continue. Even if all 6 companies started, then China would beat us. I think that's a big and important threat. So we can't stop the bus, but I do think we may have an opportunity to steer it. And I think we need to get Congress people, legislators, the public to think about this now. One of the first steps we're taking is just measuring the effects. Anthropic has put out something that we call our economic index. And using the economic index, we try and track the rate at which these things are happening. At some point we have to go beyond measuring this to actually taking action, to trying to build our AI systems in a way that augments rather than replaces. But that won't be a long-term solution either. We need to think about what the government is going to do. And there's a wide range of actions that the government could take. And it's not my place to decide which of those are correct, but I think the first step is people need to think about this and start taking it very seriously.
Yeah, and you're talking about AI possibly wiping out all entry-level white-collar jobs and spiking unemployment to 10 to 20%. So dive into the mitigation of this a little bit more. How could we mitigate the worst possible scenario here?
Yeah, so it's hard to know the exact numbers. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict the future. But what I will say is I think what AI can do, there have been these technological changes in the past, but I think what's different about AI is it's broader, it's deeper, and it's moving faster than previous such technologies. And so in terms of mitigations, I think one is just educating people in order to use AI. There will always be people who are using AI, and helping our workers to adapt faster, I think is an important move. A second move is that we may want government to kind of find a way to level the economic playing field. And this may be a controversial proposal, but something like taxing AI companies like us, we may need to get to things that are extreme.
And that's a very interesting message coming from you, who runs an AI company. But you're doing a public service announcement for all of us in terms of this future concern. Dario, thank you so much for joining.
Ecclesiastes 12, verse 4. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. First, I want to say, Kal Halah, all glory, honor, and praises due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. And I want to say peace and salutations to the whole elect out there. So as we saw in that clip, AI is starting to cause a job loss, and they're predicting it'll cause more job losses. And we know those in the shoot, the whole elect knows that AI will eventually cause everyone to lose their job, because we know Esau Edom, the so-called white man, the top elites, they're gonna try crash the economy, make everyone lose their jobs with the AI, and try to put everyone on everyone have an income based system where they give you a certain amount of income each month, that comes from the government straight themselves, so that you can't work for yourself and that you're subservient unto the government, and this is going to be done through the MOTB, the RFID micro C-HIP, to be able to buy and sell. That's their ultimate goal, is the New World Order being pushed throughout the entire earth and have full control over everybody. That's the entire goal of these elites. This is Revelation 6, starting at verse 5. I'm read the NLT on the right side. When the Lamb broke the third seal, I heard the third living being say, "Come." I looked up and saw a black horse, and its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice from among the four living beings saying, "A loaf of wheat bread or 3 loaves of barley will cost a day's pay, and don't waste the olive oil and wine." So what John saw in this vision was basically he saw inflation. This is inflation that was happening. Inflation is happening right now as we speak, but over time it's going to get worse as we get closer to the end. And it's going to get so bad where the economy crashes, and it will lead into the MOTB, the RFID micro C-HIP, where they will make the elites, the top elites, will make it mandatory for everyone to get. But the hopeful elect will resist and not get it, and the rest of the world will get it. This is Isaiah 19, starting at verse 1. The burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord Yahweh rideth upon the swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. So Yahweh Shai is dividing, and this is talking about spiritual Egypt, which is America. So Yahweh Shai is dividing the people, politically, gender wars, political wars, race wars, the list goes on. America is getting divided by the day. It's the division's at an all-time high. And so when Jacob's trouble starts, it's going to be everyone for themselves, finding food, water and resources in these days to come, because it's going to be a great time of tribulation. Verse 3, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. So the people who practice witchcraft in America, Babylon the Great, especially the top elites, on that day when Jacob's trouble hits, they're going to be trying to do their witchcraft and it won't work, Verse 4, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and fierce kings shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. So Yahweh Shai gave America over to Donald J. Trump, which we believe in reincarnation to be Nero. But, we don't know that for sure because, it's not said in the scriptures, but that's what we believe in the spirit, that Donald J. Trump is Nero reincarnated. And, Donald J. Trump is fitting that bill. He's going to come down with that great wrath very soon when he gets the order to implement that MOTB RFID micro C-HIP to the world. Verse 5, and the waters shall fail from the sea, and the rivers shall be wasted and dried up. And they shall turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of the fence shall be emptied and dried up. The reeds and the flags shall wither. The paper reeds by the brooks, by the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks shall wither, be driven away, and be no more. So yeah, when the system breaks, there's gonna be no more running water, none of that. When all hell breaks loose, the toilets won't work, sink won't work, electronics won't work, nothing will work. Verse 8, the fishers also shall mourn, and all they that cast angle into the brooks shall lament, and they that spread nets upon the waters shall languish. Moreover, they that work in fine flax, and they that weave networks shall be confounded, and they shall be broken in the purpose thereof, all that makes sluices and ponds for fish. So the fishers, they're going to run out of work as well because all the water being dried up and everything, they're going to be out of work and they're going to moan. And I'm going to be going to Blue Letter Bible, the same chapter, Isaiah 19, starting at verse 8, reading in the NLT. The fishermen will lament for lack of work. Those who cast hooks into the Nile will groan, and those who use nets will lose heart. There will be no flax for the harvesters, no thread for the weavers. They will be in despair, and all the workers will be sick at heart. And still, this is talking about Babylon the Great, America. This is not talking about actual Egypt. They kind of went off there with the, throwing hooks into the Nile in verse 8. But yeah, this is talking about spiritual Egypt, Babylon the Great, America. So there's going to be no work when all this thing, when Jacob Trouble pops off, when AI fully takes control and the MOTB RFID micro C-HIP is implemented and, martial law is, going to be pushed heavy. So they're going to try to find everyone who didn't take it and put them into camps and all of that. It's going to be a real hectic time in America. And I'm going to go back to Isaiah 19, back the regular Bible, and go down to verse 14. The Lord Yahweh had mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. So Yahweh Shai is bringing plagues onto Babylon the Great, aka America, because every work they do is basically an abomination unto Yahweh Shai. Like basically, it's the days of Noah. We're in the days of Noah right now. So Yahweh Shai, their return is near, because all this wickedness going on here in Babylon the Great and all throughout the world. Verse 15, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. So even the people at the top, who are at the top of the food chain won't even have work to do. The people at the bottom will definitely not have work to do, but the people at the top as well won't have work to do either, because all the AI that will replace them and, the MOTB, RFID micro C-HIP being implemented into the world with the New World Order. This is 2 Ezra 15, starting at verse 5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Therefore, saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things, in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood cry unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. And therefore, saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them, and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. So Yahweh Shemashai, they're getting ready to judge the whole earth, with sword, famine, death, and destruction. They're getting ready because the earth is at its all-time high for wickedness. And going down to verse 14, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So we're going to have, in Jacob's trouble, there's going to be people fighting against one another and completely ignoring the government. You're going to have people fighting the government as well. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So that's the martial law. Martial law is going to have checkpoints. And if you don't have the MOTB, RFID Marco C-HIP, you're not going to be able to go into the city or go out of the city. If you don't have the MOTB, RFID Marco C-HIP, and they see you, they're probably going to catch you or just kill you on the spot and put you, kill you on the spot. They're going to kill you on the spot or catch you and put you in a FEMA camp. Verse 17, I'll slack you. Verse 18, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. So because there's going to be a lack of resources, people are going to be fighting one another because AI took over their jobs, the economy crashed, and the MOTB, RFID Marco C-HIP, is mandatory. This is Revelation 13, verse 16. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that had understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So it doesn't matter what your status is in this society. You could be, a celebrity, the richest man in the world, or you could be in jail or nobody. They're still going to want you to take that MOTB, RFID Marco C-HIP, for you to be considered a person in their society. And if you don't take it, you'll be ostracized from society. You'll be shunned out of society. As a matter of fact, they'll kill you because you're not taking it. They'll try to take you to their FEMA camps, torture you, and then ultimately put you to death if you don't take the MOTB, RFID Marco C-HIP. This is Revelation 16, verse 2. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. So if you take the MOTB, the RFID Marco C-HIP, whether it be in your right hand or your forehead or anywhere in your body, you will get a grievous sore. You'll get a cancer. You'll get cancer in your body, sores in your body, And then, you'll know, everyone on earth will know you took the MOTB because you have sores, cancers coming out of you, It'll start looking like boils, on your skin and stuff like that. So this is what happens when you take the MOTB, RFID Marco C-HIP, whether it be in your right hand, forehead, or anywhere in your body, because you're not supposed to have, that kind of technology in your body. Your body wasn't meant for that. So that's why it's going to produce a cancer sore in you. This is Revelation 14, verse 9. This is what happens when you take the MOTB, RFID Marco C-HIP, and you disobey Yahweh Bashem al-Shah. Verse 9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, and who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever received the mark of his name. So if you receive the MOTB, RFID micro C hip, whether it be in your hand, forehead, or anywhere in your body, Yahweh Shem Shai will destroy you with his full wrath, with their full wrath. And that's going into the lake of fire. You'll be put in the lake of fire, which is Babylon the Great, aka America, being destroyed by 200 million plus ICBM missiles, ICBM thermonuclear missiles. So it's going to turn into a lake of fire, in America, because when America is hit with those 200 million plus ICBM missiles, it's going to be a complete lake of fire. And if you take the MOTB, you'll be a part of that. So it's better to die. It's better to die than to take that MOTB. With that, I want to say, call Allah, all glory, honor, and praises due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. And I want to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect out there. Lord willingly, I pray that this was an edifying lesson. And with that, I want to say shalom.